Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some updates here today, including a tracker that came out on all 50 states, tracking the ideologies, insinuating there's 38 conservative states, 12 liberal states. We'll get into it. It's kind of a nothing poll when you look at it. The amount of moderates kind of invalidates a lot of it, but you can see New Jersey's political ideology 32% conservative, 30 liberal. So you think the state's conservative? Well, no, it says 30% moderate. And of course, a lot of those moderates in this sense are going to lean towards being liberal. It's kind of strange, though, that they would do a massive data gathering like this. And there's just too many moderates to take this poll all that seriously. I mean, obviously, Wyoming, South Dakota, Idaho, Alabama, North Dakota, all these states going to be extremely conservative. But like you look at some of these states, even Florida, 26% moderate. You really got to push these people if you want to get a more accurate analysis on the political leanings of these states. I guess they wanted it to be as accurate as possible. But people wonder, well, is this a scenario where there are a lot of people that are really liberal but think they're moderate? I've seen the phenomenon happen on both sides, to where conservatives say they're more moderate, but they're really conservative. They agree with all conservative policies. Same thing with the liberal side. But I mean, in this sense, 38 states are conservative in terms of I mean, compared to Europe, I would say, yeah, that's probably accurate. We're more conservative than Europe. But just in terms of the United States, because of the amount of moderates in this poll, I don't know how you can really take this data that seriously. I mean, you can take a look at some of the important states. Ohio looks like Republican plus 13, Wisconsin Republican plus 9, but with 27% moderate, kind of invalidates it. North Carolina Republican plus 12. Republicans, I guess, are more out in the open. Well, I mean, you would think it'd be the opposite in terms of society and acceptance of being liberal versus being conservative, especially at workplaces. But this data would suggest that, well, a lot of these states are more conservative, or at least conservatives are willing to admit they're conservative than liberals are willing to admit they're liberals. A lot of these people are liberals, but they're disguising as moderates. Some people say, well, moderates tend to lean more left in general. I think it depends state by state, election by election. I mean, in this sense, yes, moderates would lean a lot more towards the left because, I mean, you obviously a lot of these states, like New Jersey is certainly not, New Jersey is not conservative. So I think that poll is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of irrelevant. You've got the approval rating on Trump's Gaza peace deal, 57% approval, 7% disapproval. I guess the other people are just, they don't want to give Trump credit. That's why there's not many, there's a lot of unknowns in this poll. But yeah, people think it'll fall apart. A lot of liberals are saying that. I guess if it falls apart, it's unfortunate. But I mean, it's a good try by Trump. It is what, I mean, it's a biblical, it's this long-term situation. The hope is that, well, if you're able to at least create this ceasefire and it lasts until after the midterms, I mean, that's a huge thing for Trump and the Republicans. Imagine it lasts until the 2028 election. That's going to be a major geopolitical win for the right if Trump is the one to foster this ceasefire. And by the way, the context of the ceasefire is very important because it alludes to the fact that Trump, through his connections and really his history as a businessman, was able to visit all of these other Middle Eastern countries, the Gulf states, UAE, Qatar, and form these relationships. And now those were the countries that really put pressure specifically on Israel, but really on both Israel and Hamas, to come to this deal when Biden couldn't get that done. He could not create those relationships with the other Middle Eastern countries to exude the pressure onto both Israel and Hamas to pressure them into a peace deal, kind of similar to what's happening with Russia and Ukraine and what Trump is trying to do to Putin. Although there is, and I'm going to talk about just the level of respect between Trump and Putin, it's something that is, it's very impressive. But you can take a look at this. Today's poll marks the first GOP lead over Democrats in the generic ballot since March 27th. Quantis Polling, which is like an A pollster, Quantis Insights. And I mean, listen, if you keep the generic composite like +2, +3 Dems, it's going to be very good. It should be very good for the midterms. Now, it's not a guarantee because we don't know how that generic ballot is really going to. And people say the generic ballot doesn't really matter. But, if it was like Dems +7, +8, which is what it was at this time back during Trump's first. Remember, the final polling on the generic ballot back in 2018 for those midterms was like Dems plus 9.5. It was insane. And so this is just one pollster you can see saying Republicans are up now. Republicans lead their last poll. It looks like it was Democrats plus 3. So it's a change of 4 points. It's a shift to 4 points. But as long as the composite on Real Clear Politics, like the 7 or 8 different polls, as long as the composite is, kept within a margin of like 4 or 5, hopefully it's less than that. I think it's like 2.5 right now. You've got to be liking where, the Republicans are setting up. We also have this Nobel Peace Prize, which it's really weird if you look into it, how the nomination process happens. I think this is the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, which is very odd. I mean, it's October. I don't know, is it the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize or the 2025? Why would you reward the Peace Prize when there's like 3 months left in the year? But credit to this woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize, Maria Corina Machado, who gives credit to Donald Trump. So it's like we've come full circle. Everyone was wondering, all the Trump people were saying, well, Trump should win it now. A few days ago, all of the stuff with, you had India, Pakistan, you had the 12-day war, and people say, well, they blame Trump for that because of his relationship with Israel, but it was a slight involvement that really dissipated quickly, and people say, well, it's going to kick up again. Well, are we really going to say we're going to predict it? Okay. It's just annoying. But then you've got this, and it's like, there's all these people that criticize Trump and he shouldn't win it. Well, the person that won it is now praising Trump. So it's pretty insane. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela, and they're fighting against that socialist regime that really shouldn't be in power at all. They completely cheated in their last election, if you look into that story. And obviously Trump is trying to get that regime out. And so that's why this woman is very appreciative of Trump. And she says she dedicates the award to the people of Venezuela and to Donald Trump for the support of the cause. So it is pretty crazy how the full circle-ness has happened when it comes to the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, the woman that won it, they criticize Trump. They say he shouldn't win it. And then the woman that wins it dedicates the award to Trump. So pretty remarkable there. When asked why President Trump didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel Committee chair essentially said, we only give the award to people of courage and integrity. And then the woman that wins it dedicates the prize to Trump. So just insane. You've got Melania Trump talking to President Putin, securing the reunification of 8 children after a letter to Putin. There's a lot of mutual respect. And this is another interesting fact with Trump and Putin, and just all going back to the Russian gate and things like that. Think about it. Trump is supporting Ukraine, and you kind of have to. I mean, if Trump, and obviously we know the Russian gate and the Russian hoax, it's all ridiculous, and it was to delegitimize Trump during his first term. But Trump now, if he was really obsessed with Putin and Russia, he would just stay out of it. But he's obviously supporting Ukraine because he wants to force Russia into negotiating with Ukraine to end the war. Because first and foremost, he wants the war to be over. And if you look at Trump's peace proposal, by the way, similar to the Gaza peace deal, which Israel gets 0 land. Now we can debate, well, in the future, Israel is going to take land. That's always a possibility. But under Trump's peace deal, Israel is they're not annexing the Gaza Strip. They're not annexing the West Bank. And then you look at Trump's 20-point, or I think it was a 7-point peace plan. It's Putin getting the 2 far eastern Russian-speaking oblasts. They're occupying 4 oblasts. They'd have to give 2 of them up. So even in these deals that Trump is doing, these are stern, strict deals, and it's not like Trump is giving Putin all of this land. These are very fair deals for all parties, and it's just kind of funny. But there's a mutual respect. But it doesn't mean that Trump obviously is a Russian asset or he's obsessed with Russia. But it's nice to see there's a mutual respect between Putin and Trump, between Russia and the United States. And there's a war going on. We want them to end it. And that's why Trump is, right now, he is supporting Ukraine. Which, again, is hilarious if you tell somebody that back in 2017, 2018, that Trump would be supporting Ukraine. At this point, it just completely just throws cold water on the entire narrative that Trump's obsessed with Russia. and it is insane. So there is that. But either way, guys, I just wanted to talk about this. Yeah, I don't really think this ideology tracker is meaningful. You have to push people to not, when you get this much moderate answer, it kind of throws the entire poll. It's useless data. I mean, how many people are really moderate? And then the other thing is there's also the nuance of, oh, I'm a conservative, but I'm an anti-Trump or a never-Trump conservative. Well, then you're probably a moderate if you're a neoconservative. That party has been passed by within the right. That party gave way to Trump. Trump took over the neoconservative movement in the United States. So the people that say, well, I'm conservative, but I don't like Trump, well, you're really not conservative at this point, because that's the conservative movement in the U.S. So there's also nuance in terms of that. And I guess it happens on the liberal side as well, to where someone says, well, I'm a liberal, but the Democratic Party, they went further left and now I'm right. And so you also get things like that. That's going to pollute this data as well. But when you've got, like, you take a look at some of the voter registrations. That's why some of the voter registration, it's good to see in terms of the momentum on how it's changing. But when you've got, like, take New Hampshire, for example, where it's like half of the people are registered independents. I mean, what does it matter if the Democrats lead or the Republicans? I mean, the independents are so overwhelming. It's kind of just bad data. So, 38 states being conservative. Is it a conservative country? Well, relative to Europe, it's a conservative country, yes. But overall, I mean, based on where the United States is going with the demographical shift, it's certainly become more liberal in the last 30, 40 years. I think Bill Clinton is by far the best barometer in terms of he would be considered, in a lot of senses, a conservative now. And he was president in the 90s, and he was a Democratic president. Now, you could say maybe he was a little bit more of a moderate Dem president even for the 90s, but you look at where we've shifted now, and this is what both sides do when it comes to the internet. The right says, well, the left has gone so far left, and now we're just moderate, but we have to be right wing because that's how we've shifted. That's the political shift in the United States. And then the left says, well, Trump's a Nazi, and the entire country in comparison to Europe is so far right, and even they say in comparison to Canada, and so they both do it. But something like this, I just don't really, I mean, like you're going to have this much moderate answer. It's kind of useless, honestly. Like, I understand, some of these states. I mean, you'd be interested in, Florida. Florida's a plus 12 Republican, but it's got 26% moderates. Texas is a plus 14 Republican. Georgia is a plus 13 Republican, 27% moderates. I mean, it's almost like it's just more Republicans admit they're Republican than liberals admit they're liberal. A lot of these people are liberal, but say, I am moderate, I'm open to both sides, I just have to be liberal. Because they say conservatives are racist or something. No, our country is really racist. We've brought in 50 million more immigrants than the second closest country in the last 50 years. Yeah, no, we're horribly racist. Like, how do we get called racist? Look at our demographic shift. It's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. We're either going to shut off the immigration, then you can call us racist. But we've got mass immigration coming into this country, and we get called racist on top of that. There's just no winning. There's really no winning. So, I mean, when it comes to stuff like this, even Colorado, they've got plus 3 Dem. Well, that just shows you how Colorado has shifted. Back in 2016, that would probably be like a plus 5, plus 6 Republican, not because the state's plus 6 Republican, but based on the way this data is done and collected. And seemingly more Republicans are, because there's not even a single state where there's a Dem percentage over 42%. The highest is Vermont. So this data is kind of meaningless, honestly. But I mean, it's interesting. You can say, well, it's Republicans lead, but like they're all moderates. All these people are moderate in most cases with these states, the way the data is collected. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you like the video down below. Also follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.